be quite difficult to see just over here, but I can see the toes. And again, the toes look like they've splayed out, so probably at a quicker place. You know what it's like when you run on the soft sand, everything sort of does that, and I think that's why the toes are so far apart over there. Here's another track. Hang on, I wonder if this is not Hosana, because the distance between this footprint here and this footprint over here is not particularly large. Let me get a piece of grass. Let me find a piece of grass that's long enough that we can do a bit of a measurement. Let's try this one. So I'm going to just put this at the tip of the toe there. And then this is maybe a centimeter too short. But that's pretty long. Let me put it up from the ground. That's the stride. That's not a big leopard. That's Hosana. So these are Hosana's tracks here. So he was here too. They don't look as fresh as Tingana's tracks did. The Thormani Maki said, can't the leopards just get along? I wish it was that simple, but unfortunately this is nature. It is tough. It is raw. It is wild. There is, well, nature, and also it changes all the time. So just when you think that you figured it out, it completely changes. Yes, here's hyena tracks now. Just going along here. This is from last night though. See, now I can't see any leopard tracks at all. Again, that substrate has got so hard, a leopard wouldn't necessarily run through the mud unless it absolutely had to. Let's just check. No, nothing here. Now this begs the next question. Where did they go? Did they go down Pangolin track? Did they go behind Chele Pan in the drainage? Or did they carry on going down Twin Dams? Now we need to obviously do a bit of investigation around here. James is doing exactly the same thing. I don't know where he is at the moment, but I'm sure he'll tell you.
Look. There's beautiful, beautiful little hornbill. And he's trying to get hold of some termites. He's very close by, only about 3 meters away, 10 feet or so. There's another one in the tree just above. Oh, why? And being followed to the one behind, the second one there is much younger. Let's just see if we can't pick them up there on the tree. No luck with these tracks, so I'm going to stop talking about them, and if I get lucky, well, then that's great. There is a sighting going on to the south of us on Little Gowrie, but unfortunately our radios are not capable of picking up what it is. I suspect it might be whatever I was following. I'll keep trying to find out, but here are the hornbills again, so let us spend some time with them. Hello, little hornbills. Now, hornbills, they love the sun in the morning, and I remember from my very earliest days of being a guide when I was a young buck with lots of hair, Craig. Yes, even I had hair at one stage of my existence. I remember driving past very miserable one morning, on a winter's morning. My guests were wrapped up like so many Arctic explorers, and my hands were cold because I didn't have gloves. I'd lost them, and my feet were cold, and I was miserable. And I went past a dead knobthorn tree, on top of which was sitting a red-billed hornbill. And it was sitting just in the first rays of the dawn, and I thought, gosh, that must be a wonderful way to be spending the morning. And that's exactly what these chaps are doing. It's certainly not freezing anymore now, but they're just enjoying the rays of the sun. And the one on the right-hand side is very clearly bigger than the one on the left, and that's because the one on the left is a juvenile. It's from this year's clutch. They're going straight back to the termite mound from whence we came. All right, let's carry on. We might be lucky along here with these tracks, but I don't think so. Anyway, so it goes, so it goes. Let's just turn the car off and roll down the hill. And of course on on Northern Hemisphere Dawn Chorus Day, it behoves us to be as quiet as possible when we're driving around. And okay, we're going to head across to Brent. I'm going to sit with the bird over here and we'll go across to Brent in the Mara, who apparently is bumbling along.
Okay, hello. We have moved away from the Samaki swamp and we are going around now to get back down towards the river. And I think while we meander through the grasslands while we're on our way down towards the river, I'm going to try to find some new bird species. So I said, I've been very good. I haven't started my bird list till I could start it live with you. So the first bird on the bird list was, of course, the crowned crane. The second bird on the bird list is a pin-tailed wider. Now I know we have seen them at Djuma, but he's just sitting so lovely and up on a little branch. Now Consulting Detective is wondering what is the bird species I'm most excited to see in the Mara. Now one of the bird species I'm most excited to see in the Mara is a relative of the pin-tailed wider. It is another little wider. Oh, am I causing a traffic jam? I am. Oh, there goes let me just pull over, let the vehicle go past us while I chat away, while I natter away, or chirp away since we're birding. Okay, let's just let the car go past. Okay, so one of the birds I'm most excited to see, and actually, one of the birds I'm most excited to show you, it just happened to open on the page, is number 2. A superb starling. Isn't that just the most wonderful name? So number 2, a superb starling. We might even see one in the area we're heading to at the moment. But Consulting Detective was wondering what the birds I'm most excited to see. And one of the birds is something I didn't actually know about. It's called a silver bird. And there we go, that's that. So part of the flycatcher family. That is probably one of the birds I'm most excited to see. And as you can see, there's no circle. No circle. I haven't ever seen a silver bird before. Now, Douglas told me they're down near the Mara Bridge, which we're not going to go to today, but we will get to. It is quite far from here. And where are the widers? There we go. Sunbirds. Am I being a numpty? I think I am. There's just too many birds in the book. It's so exciting. Okay, let me be sensible and try use the key. Of course, being me, I get too excited and I forget to use the key. But now I have used the key, so we are in the right zone. And as I said, it's related to the pin-tailed wider. There are 2 that I'm very excited to see while we're here. One is the straw-tailed wider, number 7. There we go. And the steel blue wider. So how cool are those? The straw-tailed and steel blue wider. Those are what I'm really excited to see. Hi, Christine. Christine's wondering whether secretary birds are found in the Mara. And yes, they are, Christine. And hopefully we will see them. And there's another bird that I've seen twice, but when we were quite far to the south on our way to a meeting, that we haven't managed. Well, we might see it today, but I've chased after them, or the report of one at Djuma, which was the Corey bustard, and there are quite a few Corey bustards around. We also got to look out for Denham's bustard, and of course one of our favourites also occurs here, which is the black-bellied bustard. So, as you can see, we're in this absolute sea of grass at the moment. We are heading down towards the Mara River. Now there's a spot down there that we're heading towards. It's really good for big cats and birds. It's called Majandege, which basically means water of the birds. So there's often lots of water birds there, and there's actually a spot where on our way back from a meeting we nearly saw a lion kill. a couple of days ago, and it's so amazing. It's just like all blurs into one. I think, when did we arrive, Eggs? On the 1st.
Yeah.
So we're on the 1st, we're in the Nairobi for the 2nd and the 3rd. No, I came on the 2nd. Oh, I mean, it's all just this amazing blur of excitedness. I mean, that's not a word, but I'm making it a word today. But yeah, so it's just incredible. And every morning, literally, we get up and going, what are we going to see today? It's so absolutely wonderful. Oh, where's he gone? I can hear him calling. A rufous-snaped lark. I can hear him calling. Ah, there he is, on the right, sitting on the bush. Now, there's lots of pipits and stuff, but I haven't quite got them. Okay, there we go. I didn't hear who it was, but the pin-tailed white was someone's first forward bird on their Kenya list. Well, here's the second. It is a rufous-naped lark calling from, it looks like, Kirk. There we go. Well, Kirk, here's number 2. Come on, give us one call. Don't be shy. You were calling so nicely earlier. There we go. So they sit often up on little bushes and that and display. Now we're going to try head towards Maja and Ndege to try find some more birds and hopefully some big cats and elephants. And while we do that, we're going to go across to Taylor, who's hot on some leopard tracks.
We are still hot on some leopard tracks, but we've just taken a break for the moment because we think now the story that is being told by the footprints left by Tingana and Hosana. Tingana has moved off and out of the area. It seems as though he's gone straight back down Twin Dams just from his tracks, and we haven't seen any more of Hosana's, and the pace at which Tingana was walking seemed to slow down too. So I think he successfully achieved in chasing young Hosana off. So now we're going to start looking for Hosana, but before we do, you may have noticed that I've been carrying around a couple of things, and this poor little tick over here, I've taken on quite a ride. It has come tracking basically right from the Vuyatela Dam, and I shall probably drop it back there a little bit later. And it's a beautiful tick. It's a bont tick. You normally get many different colors, but I think that this is the most spectacular coloration of a bont tick I have ever seen, with the oranges and the blacks, and that little leaf just sitting next to it. I just thought it was very pretty, seeing as though we're in autumn with the lovely colors of fiery red, is from a very young jackalberry. Now, James is, of course, searching for lots of birds and other things, and well, he's found something with wings.
Well, yes, a bird with wings. There it is. And I think it's an African hawk eagle, as far as I can tell. Craig and I are just slightly perplexed because it's got very little feathering on its legs. It does have feathers on its legs, though, so I'm pretty sure that's what it was. An African hawk eagle. You still got it there. That's a beautiful shot of it. A wonderful shot of the African hawk eagle. I will show you a picture, everybody. There it is. But you can see that is very well feathered down to the legs. I don't see what else it could have been, and I think maybe this drawing is just slightly inaccurate, or he's got slightly wet legs, and so the feathers are stuck to the bottom of the legs. So that's him there, the African hawk eagle. Very good. We're on our way down towards Chitwa Dam to see if we can't find something there. I've given up on these tracks over here because it will require an extensive amount of walking through a very thick block, which of course I can. Let's ease down here and see if we can't pick something up in the clearings immediately.
Hold it. Now, James is still trying to search. Well, I don't know if he's given up his search for the leopards. I have a little bit too, I must be honest. Not quite given up, rather, but I've headed out of the area where James had those tracks of the female. Now I think what's happened, now this is actually very confusing, and I think tip of the day, I said I'd try a profound tip of the day today. I think tip of the day is, it doesn't matter where you're guiding or which areas you're going to and that, and I've said this before, be very careful about identifying leopards and that if you're not 100% sure, because it causes confusion. So I've been chatting to some of the other guides, and the update I got was that Karula's 2 youngsters were on the property south of us yesterday. Now we know, well, that can't be possible because we saw young Hosanna last night. He's been at camp the whole night. He's been there for 3 days. So you see, it's very, very difficult and very confusing at times if people try and identify leopards and don't really know the movements, because then it confuses everyone. So if you are going to identify leopards, make sure it's the right one, and also don't just assume. Have a good look. Doesn't just mean that there's only those leopards in the area. You'll get other leopards moving through. I've seen it many, many times, how leopard territories can overlap. They can interact with one another on a regular basis. It's the leopard interaction that we see is a portion of what actually goes on. It really is amazing. So I think we need to be careful when it comes to that, because it does confuse everybody, and a lot of the time I think we also get it wrong. And like this morning, I mean, saying that the 2 youngsters, but in saying that, maybe they did see Shungile, I'm not sure, so that would be a good sign, because they said they saw them yesterday, or yesterday afternoon, south of our boundary. So they said they saw 2 though, so I'm not sure which 2 they saw, 2 youngsters, so I'm not sure, but just be very, very careful when identifying animals. You know how I feel about it. I think there is a place and there is a time that you identify animals, because it is a good way of keeping track of which animals are in the area. But also, don't just assume. Always be very, very careful. Double check. Try keep an ID kit if you are going to do it. Otherwise, just enjoy seeing which animals you have in the area that pass through. But anyway, so in saying that, the tracks that I think James had, I saw tracks in the riverbed and the Mawati going down, and I think they crossed south across our boundary. I heard 1 or 2 impala alarm calls. It didn't sound very serious though. We tried to have a look, but obviously we cannot cross that boundary. But no sign of any leopard there. Those tracks did look like from last night, however. So I'm not sure. It was maybe those were little tracks of Shungile. That would be wonderful. Not sure if it was definitely her. I can't be sure at all. But we did see some tracks in the riverbed heading south. I'm going to head around and just check again back through these areas and try to check these drainage lines, because I think there must be a male leopard in here somewhere. At least one of them from last night. Hiding somewhere around, and with it warming up now, we might still get a bit of movement from them. Right. So I'm off my soapbox now. Let's head to Taylor, who's still searching for tracks.
No, we are, and I can hear Byron's coming up just ahead. Herbie and I just stopped literally for about 3 minutes after you were last with us, and we were just having a chat about the behavior that's going on at the moment. And we had a discussion, and I'm going to put this, I want to keep you updated with our thoughts, and of course this is something that we were thinking about, and we have been thinking about, and it's just sort of clicked to me. Remember the last time we saw Karula? I think I was the last Wild Earth guide to see Karula. It was on the 15th of March. It was in the evening. We were doing the tests with Cannon, and I'd seen her trying to hunt a scrub hare, but she was really just playing with it. She didn't go after it. She was not interested. That same night was sort of around the time. Do you remember when Hosanna and Tingana were seen feeding on that impala kill? Now, I can't remember the exact dates, but it was around that time, and they were all seen near that area in the Mulwati drainage line. They were just in Little Gari. And I think that afternoon we tried to get a view, but we couldn't. Now, I wonder, after I saw Karula, she was coming back towards Hosana, who was sitting in the drainage line. And I wonder if the two of them didn't walk back towards that impala kill again. Now, Karula's obviously going to be very, very protective over Hosana, as you can imagine. And if there was a discrepancy at that impala kill where they were all seen feeding together, say Tingana expressed his non-tolerance for Hosana being at that kill, Karula would have stepped in, and that could have ended up in a big argument and a big fight. And Karula would put her life on the line, of course, to try and protect those cubs. We've seen it a number of different times, not necessarily always live, but all of the guides here would have seen an encounter where mom has put herself between hyenas or wild dogs or lions or anything along those lines. So something could have happened like that as well to Karula. It was all around about the same time. I'm not saying that it did happen. I'm just trying to put sort of different things out here. There's just an impala rutting at the moment, not too far away from us. We're obviously just trying to figure out, and the more scenarios that we can think of, the more sense that everything starts to make. And again, he's not happy with Hosana. I think he's shown it enough times now that he's not tolerating anymore. And Hosana is young, he is inexperienced, but hopefully these lessons that he is slowly learning and these encounters, not necessarily positive encounters with male leopards, will teach him now at a young age, you need to keep yourself hidden, because he hasn't had mom to sort of show him the ropes with anything like that. So I think even though he is so young and so inexperienced, these lessons that he is learning along the way are quite valuable, and maybe another leopard would have only learned them later on in life. So this is really, really good for him. But of course, I'm not sure. We're just having conversations. We're just chatting about the possibilities, and things like that with leopards happen often, where male leopards will end up killing females because they're trying to protect their cubs. I think there was an incident at Londolozi where something along the lines happened, or in the southern sands. But we're going to go across to James now, who doesn't seem to be looking for leopards at all, but he's finding all the feathery friends.
Well, this is of course one of my favourite feathered friends, not because it is particularly good looking, but because it has the wonderful name. Craig, will you say it for us, please? Pipit. Yes, a pipit. An African or grass-felt pipit. There it is, sitting on a termite mound. Around it are the crowned lapwings going, whack, whack. And of course one should always say pipit a few times if one is trying to find, and failing dismally to find, large, iconic African game. And all one has found is what can be described as a little brown job. Of course, to the grassveld or African pipit, the vagaries of my attempts to find animals out here are unimportant. Grassveld pipit thinks of itself as just as important as the elephants and the leopards. Now, as we stopped here, I said to Craig, well, look, there's a pipit. He said, do you want to do a segment on it? As if asking me if I was quite mad, if I was quite in control of my senses this morning, that I should suggest to him that we do a segment on the African pipit. Well, I said to him, I quoted John Cleese from Fawlty Towers when I said to him, what else is there over here? Can you see herds of wildebeest streaming majestically across the plains? No. Can you see Mount Krakatoa erupting? Oh no. Can you see the hanging gardens of Babylon? And he answered me in the negative, that he could see not any of these three things. And so it is that we are doing the grassveld pipit. Tabitha, I suspect Tabitha probably, you want to know about the smallest species of bird that we get here. The smallest species of bird that we get here, Tabitha, is something called a grey penduline tit. And while we look at the magnificence of the grassveld pipit, I will find you a picture of the grey penduline tit, which is a very small but very attractive bird. Unfortunately, normally all you see is what looks like sort of 3 or 4 cotton wool balls flying very fast across the sky, and so your ability to actually appreciate their beauty is difficult, is compromised by the speed at which they disappear. Right, Craig, let me show you the grey penduline tit, because you will be sore amazed. Won't you, Craig? Yes, very sore amazed. There it is there. That's number 2. And the most amazing thing about it is the nest that it makes, the grey penduline tit. Oh, I haven't even told you how big it is. It's only 8 to 9 centimetres, so that is about 2.5 inches long. Is it? No, it's not. 8 divided by 2.5 is about 3 inches long. So a tiny little bird, and they live in little flocks, and they have the most beautiful little nests, and the nests are sort of like a velvet sack almost. It's an amazing construction. Alrighty, we're going to head back up to East Africa now with Brent, and of course the antelope that was my firm favourite over there, the topi.
Well, from James to one of James's favourite creatures, the topi. Well, I don't know whether he likes topi or just likes saying the word, but there we go. We've got a nice male topi atop a termite mound, checking for lions, and of course also checking for any potential rivals to his little patch. So topi you will often find on top of these termite mounds, surveying the distance. Eggs, if you come this way and we look into the distance, almost every large termite mound in the distance has a large topi standing on top of it. See, there we go. So you can see as we're moving down, we're right next to the Mara River now. So we're going to start seeing a few more antelope. I'm really hoping there's a big group of, yesterday there was a big group of Thompson's gazelles in this area. And so we're gonna keep moving through here. But there we go. Almost every big termite mound's got a topi on top. And I did promise I was going to show you a new species of waterbuck today. And we have found them. And they are called Arathusa waterbuck. So unfortunately they're not showing us their rear ends at the moment. So they don't have the white circle on their bottom. They've just got a pale bottom instead. Ooh, it's just so much to look at. What bird is that now? There's a fish eagle on top of the tree line, just to the left of the topi. A bit higher than the topi, we've got, it looks like a juvenile fish eagle. Hasn't quite got his adult plumage just yet. So as I said, the Mara River is just beyond those trees. And as we meander a bit further, we're going to get closer and closer. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions for us. And we would love to hear from you. Now, Zander just was being quite poetic. He says, I've finally figured out how to describe Kenya. And I was like, okay, Eggsy. Oh, there we go, calling. And I was like, okay, Eggs, how do you describe Kenya? And Zander says to me, it's like falling in love. He says, I feel the same way when I look around as we drive through the Masai Mara as I do when I look at my girlfriend. Isn't Zander so sweet? He's blushing now. He's going red in the cheeks. Hi, Shannon. Shannon's wondering, are there wild dogs in this area? They're seen very, very rarely. I think twice in the last 5 years. But in the north, on the other side of the river, they're seen a bit more frequently. So who knows? Hopefully, I'll bring a bit of wild dog luck and they'll come back for another visit. So actually, the first time wild dogs were seen in many, many years was on the site where Angama is being built. And then the next time they were seen was just below Angama. So if we're going to see them, it's going to be close to home. Okay, so let's just go a little bit further forward. And as I said, we're right up against the river now. So we're on the floodplain. And that area where you saw the waterbuck, that's actually an old Mara River bend. So the river has changed its course. It's quite a young river with very steep banks. So it's sort of constantly changing every year depending on the rain as it cuts away at the banks. I'm trying to see. Ooh, no, it's flying too fast. But as I say, we're getting into this area, we're going to see a lot more antelope now, and of course where there's antelope there's always a good chance of predators, but also we should be seeing quite a few more birds. Let's just jump up here now. Hi, African bush lover. African bush lover is wondering, will we be venturing into that wooded area? We'll venture around the edge of it. It is a protected area. There's very, very little of that ecosystem left. So there's no driving into that wooded area, but we can go right along the edge of it. So we will try go along the edge of it. And there's certain spots where you go to sort of picnic sites or campsites that do go into that wooded area. But generally, we stay on the edge of it. And historically, this wooded area was all along the Mara River. But slowly, as climate has changed, and over the last sort of 1,000 years, it's really, really limited to this section of the Mara Triangle and the other side of the river in the Mara National Reserve. And it's sort of the only sort of proper riverine forest that's left, this type of riverine forest that's left in East Africa. So it's very important that we look after it and conserve it. So unfortunately we won't be going deep into it, but we will be hanging around the peripheries. Now, who's ready to see an impala on steroids? So we all seen our lovely impala that we get at Djuma and in the Sabi Sands. Now we're going to have a look at a male East African impala that has horns that look like they belong on a kudu. Okay, tell me when. Eggs? Yeah. Okay. Good? So there we go. We got some East African impala. Now, of course, they are the same species of the impala, but due to the nature of this incredible grassland mosaic that we have here, their horns get much, much bigger. Look at that. There's Nyala and Kudu in the Sabi Sands that would be jealous of a set of horns like that. Now, on average, most of the animals are bigger than what you would get in the Sabi Sands, even the same species. And the reason being is because of this lush grassland. So they get a lot more nutrients from what they feed on. And that also means that their territories are generally a bit smaller. They don't have to travel as far to get food. Ooh. No, that is a stick. Sorry, I thought I saw something. Now, we are coming up to this area called Majandege, so water of the birds. And it is another one of these sort of extinct oxbows off the Mara River. And that's where we're going to be finding a lot of animals at this time of the day. And as we start moving back towards Angama, the elephants will start moving towards this area as well. Isn't that funny? So there we go. This is the Majandege campsite, but it looks like a warthog, I would guess, just from the size, has decided the signpost is a great place to rub its bottom. So there are campsites in the riverine forest, so that looks like the warthogs have decided that's a good place to have a scratch after a wallow. While we go try and get closer to the wallow and see what incredible birds we can find, let's go to a little creepy crawly with 8 legs.
We have a beautiful spider to show you, and I don't know if you've seen this before, but this is a species of kite spider. It's called a kite spider, and it is tiny. It is really, really tiny, and I'll jump off and show you, but I just wanted you to see it spinning its web at the moment. So let me just jump off here quickly and show you, because, sorry folks, let me just cross through here, just to show you how tiny the spider is. Here we go, compared to my finger. Smaller than my fingernail. But I recognized it immediately as I saw it. It's known as a kite spider. Beautiful color, bright red. And it's busy building its web at the moment, so I'm not going to disturb it. Now, what some of these spiders do, and the bark spider is a great example of it. What these spiders do is they will spin their webs and then often eat the web and rest during the day or during the evening, depending on when they are active. But they eat the web again because it's packed full of all the protein that they need. So they'll eat their web, a portion of the web, and then the next day most likely spin their web again and start spinning it. So like this one, you can see is starting from scratch and spinning its web. Really is fascinating to see. I love watching spiders spin their webs like this. Now I've seen the bark spiders, which are much larger than this little kite spider, but they'll sit on the branches of trees during the day and they'll rest there, and then in the evenings they spin their webs. And I've seen them spin a huge web in half an hour, 45 minutes. They'll have this whole web up and ready to catch any insects that might fly past. So I think this kite spider is spinning its web to hopefully try and catch some insects during the course of the day. But that's really nice. That's something different. I haven't seen a kite spider or not on Safari Live, and I haven't seen one for quite some time, so it's nice to see it. So even though we have been searching for leopards, there's still other things, other little insects going on. Sorry, Kirk, what was the... Oh, right, Kirk, you said you'd name it the crab spider. It looks like a crab, yeah. It does almost, doesn't it? It does look crab-like. But there is a crab spider, Kirk. There is indeed a crab spider, but it looks different. I don't have a spider book with me. James has got quite a nice spider book. He might have it on his vehicle, perhaps he can show you, but this is definitely a kite spider. So Nancy, and not necessarily, it's not necessarily wasteful for them to spin the web over and over again. As I said, what they do is they'll eat the web, so they don't waste all that protein. So they'll just use the web for the period of time that they need, and then they'll eat it again, so they store all that protein, and then they're able to then spin a new web. I think what happens is, unless it gets damaged, then obviously the spider would have to spin a new web from scratch. But when they rest during the day, they do that to protect themselves. So they don't want to. Some spiders will keep their webs up, and one of the examples of that are the golden orb web spiders. They'll keep their webs up. They won't necessarily spin a new web every day. Some of these smaller spiders, though, do spin a new web every day. But look at it going to work there. Daniel, all the way from Scotland, this is by no means the smallest spider. We have little community nest spiders which are much smaller than this, but there are also tiny spiders that we see in the grass, in the grass blades. Little spiders that you find in there too that are much smaller than this, a portion of the size. So this is by no means the smallest spider that we get here. It is tiny, but it's definitely not the smallest. We get much smaller than that. Daniel, I actually looked at one the other day on the microscope that was hiding in a blade of grass, but that was very, very small. Lynn, I don't know what the purpose of the body shape is, actually. I would assume it's got something to do with camouflage or protecting itself. Maybe looks like a seed pod, perhaps, or something different that isn't edible for some birds. I would assume it's got something to do with camouflage and protection. And even if you look at a bark spider, And the bark spider is really big, and it's got these nodes, what look like little knobs or nodes sitting on it, but that is so that it appears to look like bark and have little thorns on it to prevent birds from feeding on it. So again, camouflage. So I think this is purely for camouflage purposes and to try and protect it. Looks like it's got little spines on it, so it might try and imitate a thorn perhaps. Do you see that? It's got those little protrusions on the back that look like thorns. So I think that's what the reason for that body shape is. Alright, well, we're going to leave this beautiful little spider, and it was time for coffee. Fergus is enjoying his first cup of coffee with me. I hope you're enjoying it, Fergus. There we go. So let's head to Taylor, who's walking around and still looking for any signs of leopards or possibly some small insects.
Now, Byron, I would love it if you could please bring a third cup along in the morning, and perhaps we could meet up and have a little coffee too, because I know that Senzo and I are absolutely desperate for a cup of coffee. We are stressed. We don't know what's going on with these leopards. Herbie's mind is twisting and turning as we try and, of course, decipher this puzzle. We've actually picked up on Hosana's tracks again. I think that Hosana is fine. I think Tingana's now moved away and gone and given up. And we had his tracks here on Pangolin track, and I think obviously if he came from the drainage line, must have run out. And if you think about it, if you were a leopard, or if you got into the situation where you felt scared and you were nervous and somebody was chasing you, you'd want to go to an area that you knew well. And I think that's what happened. Is I think that Hosana was just zigzagging, going to spots where he's used to going, where his mom has taken him most of his life. And well, this particular area that we're in at the moment, around Chelepan, the Ingwe Alley, Twin Dams, is a well-known spot. So his tracks are going up and down here. It's very difficult to try and make sense of them. And Herbie suggested he wonders if he's not heading home, if he's not going back south. And maybe this evening we're going to see him pop out somewhere near Baboon Pan. He's going to stay hidden. He probably wouldn't want to be seen by people in cars or on foot after having the scary experience that he would have had last night. It was definitely not a pleasant experience for Hosana, and I think he'll be quite secretive. So I think we're going to just stop searching for him. I reckon he's in this thicket around us, but it is very thick. I don't want to walk up to him and give him a bit of a fright. I think he's gone through enough for one day. So we're going to move on now, and we're going to carry on going this way. And I think we're going to start heading back around towards not Cheetah Plains, towards Quarantine, the big open plains, and go from there. And we'll give him a bit of a rest. We'll let him sit down. Maybe he's sustained a little injury, a small cut or something. Leopard claws are, of course, very sharp. That maybe he's just nursing his wound, trying to calm down, trying to sort of compose himself again and think of a plan of action. And I think it's actually a good idea, not necessarily for us because we want to see these leopards all the time, but I think it's a good idea that he maybe does move down towards Baboon Pan. There doesn't seem to be any other big leopards that hang around there. Tingana pops in every now and then, but he doesn't reside on the property like he sort of resides here. So it might be a better spot for him to stay out of trouble, and again, out of sight, out of mind. So if his scent is not anywhere near and in areas that Tingana sort of goes and patrols regularly, he'll be okay. He'll just sort of slip underneath the radar, which is what we kind of want until he's big enough and strong enough to be able to compete with a big resident male leopard such as Tingana and potentially take over his spot. But that's probably not going to happen. I don't think that Hosana will hang around here for too much longer. He will disperse and move into other spots quite far away from here. Maybe we're lucky, maybe he hangs around. Now, I don't know what have you got, Herbie? Oh, before you go, I want to show you something. Herbie's just called me. He just got my attention, so he did a little whistle. When you're out in the bush and you are communicating with one another, you don't want to be shouting, "Hey, Herbert!" or anything like that. So to just get each other's attentions, you can, or just a natural noise. Let me just show you the tracks that we've got here of Hosana. They're all over here. So he obviously went in and he's come back again. Yeah. Look, here's a track here. So So he's going home. I think that's exactly it. I think he's on his way back south to an area where he knows that he can stay and where he's not going to be bothered for a while. I'm sure his ego will be severely bruised as a young male leopard. Probably one of his first proper scary encounters. And he's going to go that way. But like I said, we're going to move on. We're going to keep going towards quarantine. Brent is still, of course, driving around in the Mara, and he's got an animal that is just starting to come back to the Sabi sand.
Well, we came looking for birds at Maja and Dege, the place of water birds, but the wind's picked up a bit, so the birds are not really here. But we have a lovely little group of buffalo, and I'm just going to move a little bit because there's a buffalo calf. I think for some reason, since we've been here in Kenya on the last 2 drives, we have seen the cutest buffalo calves ever. We had the one with the milk moustache last night. Now we have one that is sleeping so soundly. Look at that. How's that, Eggs? That buffalo calf is fat, happy, content, and fast asleep. Mom's ruminating away and sticking close to Mom for protection, but absolutely passed out. Now, when we look at buffalo bulls here, you might notice a little bit of a difference between the ones that you see commonly in the Sabi Sands and the Greater Kruger. I'm just going to move forward. So, actually, we've got a perfect example here. Let me go like this. So, if we look at that furthest buffalo there, Xander, now you can see short horns but with quite a deep curve. And that is probably most of the buffalo bulls we get down in South Africa are like that, but not quite. Oh no, now you're being rude, you're moving away. But there's a very distinct sort of horn type that is far more common in East Africa than it is in Southern Africa. But of course he has moved away now. Let me just reposition again. And it's a very shallow curl, but with a very wide horn. Oh, the bull just woke Baby up. He just stepped on the bubba. Oh, sweetness. Look at that face. I'm like, oh, why did I have to get up? I was so comfy. Oh, goodness. Look at the flies. Now, he's not looking at us. And there we go. He's turning his head a little bit. So when that bull turns his head, so it's a very shallow curl with a very wide set horn on the bulls. And that's far more common in East Africa. We don't see it often in Southern Africa. Now, let me just see if there's another bull that's being a little bit more. There was another bull. There we go. There he is. That's showing that very distinct sort of horn pattern. Okay. Where's he gone? There he is. Oh, look at that face. Well, Kirk's wondering where the oxpeckers are. Well, Kirk, can you get the bull? One with the oxpecker on his nose. And Kirk was wondering, he's behind. He's gone behind a little one. Let's just go forward a bit more. Yep. So there's that very distinct sort of East African bull horn structure that is very, very common in East Africa, but very uncommon in Southern Africa. Now, where did that oxpecker go? Have you got him? And so there's both. Is it a red-billed or yellow-billed? You don't have the oxpecker. Yeah, we get both species here, with yellow-billed being more common. Yellow. Yeah, so there we go. Sorry, I can't see from here. So yellow-billed oxpecker. So we've seen both species, but more commonly we've been seeing yellow-billed, and particularly on buffalo and zebra, we've been seeing a lot more yellow-billed oxpeckers. Now, this is a small satellite herd. There's probably about 30 or 35 of them. Now, in the distance, in the area where we're heading towards, there's a herd of about 200-300, and I think they've just broken off and come down for a sort of little wallow down next to the river, and I think they will head back to join the big herd at some stage, which is probably about 2-3 kilometers from us. Now, this is a different big herd from the one we saw yesterday. Sorry, Megs, you just cut out there for a second. I know Rishi was asking about the horns of the buffalo, and then I got a beep. and you can see all the flies, an incredible amount of flies, and that's why the lions like to sleep in the trees around here. There, Rishi is commenting that the horns of the buffalo do look very different. And as I said, you will find some horns that are similar, but the East African bulls generally have this sort of very shallow, wide, and it's quite impressive. It's stunning to look at. And it looks like someone has decided that it's time for the herd to move on. Now, I've got a quiz for everyone. So, from these buffalo, I'm going to head across to a triple skirchie. And I want to know if anyone knows what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at a triple skirchie next. So if you know what a triple skirchie is, hashtag Safari Live, and send your answers through. I'll be very impressed if you guys can get it. So what is a triple skirchie? And we're going to, as the buffalo move around, we're just going to turn around. Oh, hang on. What's happening there? I think it's Topi chasing Topi up ahead, Zander. So it looks like there's a bit of showmanship or gamemanship going on between those Topi. You got them?
Yep.
There you go, running off in the distance. And it's just absolutely mind-blowing, the distances we can see here. Okay, let's head towards... Oh, before we move, I'm sorry, there's just so much to look at. Sorry, Zander, I'm making you do the 360 dance today. We can see the back of a Arathusa waterbuck, and I said you can see they don't have the white ring like the common waterbuck that we get in the Sabi Sands. They've just got a big white blotch on their bottom. So there we go, the Arathusa waterbuck. Now, before I get sidetracked again, let's keep moving towards the triple skirchie. Sorry, buffs. Hi, guys. Now, looks like the herd is up and on their way to go join the bigger herd, which is in the direction of the triple skirchies. But the triple skirchies are not the big herd of buffalo. Aha, I wonder who knows what a triple skirchie is. Oh, they definitely look at you like you owe them money. There's no other way to describe it. Especially with those big, wide horns. Bye, buffs. So, off the main roads that we've been driving on, there's these wonderful little tracks like we are now that meander. And I know we were asked if we could go closer to the forest, so that's what we're doing. So fingers crossed that we might even find a leopard on our way to triple skirchies, because there are more than one triple skirchie. Eggsy, do you know what a triple skirchie is? Eggsy doesn't know. It's a big surprise. Doug definitely knows. He's smiling in the back there, having a little giggle. So I'll be very impressed. I don't even think Final Control know what a triple skirchie is. Minutes to get to triple skirchies. I just like saying that word. I think more than anything else, triple skirchie. Zander, sing it.
Triple skirchie.
No, that's not singing, Zander.
Rapping.
It's rapping. Oh, sorry, Zander. Okay. Okay. So while we make our way, you can see how wet it gets here. So you can't use this road after the rain, but we're gonna bump our way along to the triple skirchie. Give you some time to think about it. While we do that, let's go see what feathered friend Byron has marching down the road.
I've got a beautiful bird, Brent, a red-crested coron. And this is the most relaxed I've ever seen one of these birds. It's walking in front of us, just... I don't know what is it doing there? Is it... Oh, look at that. I wonder if there were ants or something that were possibly bothering it. I don't know. That was fascinating. This is really, really a lovely sighting of a red-crested coron. But he walked right up towards us. It's very, very strange. I've never seen that before. They do that beautiful display where they shoot up into the air. But I don't think this one is going to be doing it because it hasn't been calling. Often they've got a high-pitched whistle, a clicking sound at the beginning of the call. And then they whistle. Quite a high-pitched whistle. I think I'll have to play it for you. Or let me try. Something like that. It's not a very good red-crested Quran call. I'm trying to head into the area. There it goes. Beautiful bird. Lovely. That's nice. I'm just trying to head into the area where Herbert and Taylor are, because they said they had tracks of two young leopards. So I'm trying to head into the area and see if we can give them a hand. Love Kiwi, you asked, is that Quran a roadrunner? No, not at all. It is a ground nesting bird, but it's not a roadrunner. We don't have the roadrunner in Africa. I'm trying to think what bird that is actually, what the roadrunner is based on. I'm not sure. But I think it's an American bird, isn't it? Fergs, do you know?
It is an American bird.
It is an American bird, yeah. But I just don't know. But is it called a roadrunner? I don't know. But no, so Love Kiwi, that bird is not the roadrunner. We don't get those here, not in Africa. The Quran, they are ground nesting birds. They very well camouflaged, and they walk around on the ground looking for food, insects that they'll feed on. But they are not the roadrunner. Beep beep. I'm checking very carefully around this area. I'll try to check for tracks, see if we get any around here. Maybe we're lucky and these leopards headed towards. We drove along here earlier, and I remember I was saying I'd like to check these drainage lines, because you never know, you could potentially find a leopard lying down here somewhere. Nice thick area. Now they did find a female leopard on Torchwood. A female leopard on Torchwood, and again they're trying to see if they can identify it. A few names are being thrown around, but they think possibly Tundi, so east of our boundary, which makes sense. It is her territory, so we'll see. We'll try and find out exactly who that leopard is. Let's head to Taylor, who's playing in the mud for some reason.
Almost playing in the mud. I'm too scared to get dirty so early in the morning. But yes, Byron, I agree with you. I think that it is Tundi. It just makes sense with the territory that it is in. So that's quite exciting. And I've got some even better news for you. We found Shongile and Hosana's tracks together. How cool is that? Just literally when we just finished and we'd linked across to, who did we go to? James, I think it was. And just the excitement is now sort of riveting through my body. I took another 3 steps, and there was Hosana's tracks with Shongile's tracks, and they looked like they were depressed and put down there on the sand at the same time. So I think with all the commotion that has come about, I think something good has actually come out of this sighting, because Hosana and Shongile have not been together for quite some time. So the tracks seem to come in here towards Ingwe Alley Road. They love this area. It's a well-known spot, and I think that they'll feel safe and comfortable. Maybe for this afternoon's sunset safari, we'll find them. But what drew me to this little mud wallow over here is this bone that is stuck in the mud. Now I was sitting here going, oh, that's unusual, what is this doing here? And then I remembered that the Nkuhuma Pride, as well as some of the Birminghams, managed to kill a buffalo last year, not too far away from where we are. So I think the hyenas were obviously scavenging around, moving the carcass a bit, and I went to try and find that carcass about 2 days ago, and I wasn't able to. So I think those hyenas Ribbon's Den is not too far away, and there been a lot of hyena activity around there, so they will come through. They will gnaw on old bones and hope to try and get some sort of sustenance out of it. And so one of them has brought this bone back over here, and it's dropped in the dam, well, not in the dam, in the mud wallow, and now it is being absorbed by all of the mud. And I'd love to one day be able to excavate areas like this and see how much evidence, bones in particular, of animals that you would find in a death trap like this. It's beautiful, but it's hot now. Senzo, I'm surprised you still have your jacket on, because I am warm, and I don't know if that's because of the adrenaline that's been pumping through my veins, the marching that we have been doing, and probably a combination, of course, of the heat. It's going to be another scorcher of a day. But very exciting, and I think we've got a lot to, of course, look forward to. But let's keep going. We've just done a little detour, just walking Ingwe Alley Road, and then we're going to start going back towards, we'll probably go back down towards the dam. I was going to release this fella, my tick, my bontic, my beautiful bontic that I found, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to keep it. I think I'm going to give it to James. James will be in the tent this afternoon, and I would love to see what this guy looks like under the microscope. If I bring him closer, look at the coloration on its body. It really is just absolutely spectacular. I just can't get enough of it. And I would love to see, of course, what that looks like. I didn't get to tell you too much about the tick, but it's beautiful. But we'll be saving it, of course, for James a little bit later. Brent, of course, is on a roll this morning with a variety of animals. Kenya is amazing. He has now found himself a crowned crane.
Well, we're not going to show you the triple skirchy just yet, because I'm sure quite a few of you are excited to see the crowned cranes again. These are the grey crowned cranes, not the northern crowned cranes. And there they are. And in with them is a spur-wing goose. And a little bit to the right is a whole hobble of Egyptian goose. So there we go. A nice sort of 3 birds in one fowl swoop at Majandege. And in the distance, oh, can we still see them? There's some woolly neck storks as well. There's about 400 buffalo behind them, including one right there. And where are we now, Eggs?
Yeah, we're with the buffalo.
With the buffalo and the woolly neck storks. Okay, and as if we come closer towards us, we are much closer to the Arathusa waterbuck. And we can see their bums a bit more clearly. And you can see, living up to their name, feeding in the water on the nice lush sedges that are growing. And Eggs, do you think we're ready to show them a triple skirchy yet?
Okay.
Oh, I don't know, Eggs. I think maybe we should hold out a bit longer.
And,
Yeah. Okay, let's show them a triple skirchy. There we go. A triple skirchy is the Camelopardus triple skirchy, the Maasai giraffe. There we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that I can see, and I'm sure there's a few more still in the tree line. They are exquisite. More than 9, 10. 10 that I can see. So isn't this absolutely splendid? So from sitting in this one spot, we've got triple skirchies. We've got 2 herds of buffalo on either side of us. We've got probably, there must be about 25 waterback crown cranes, and I'm trying to see, those Tommies should be around here quite close. So let's go see if we can find those Thompson's gazelles. They should be about a minute away, and we can probably see if there's any more birds at the other section of Majandege. Living up to its name, Water of the Birds. This is just, I think Eggsy has nailed it when it comes to describing how driving around here in Kenya makes you feel. It's like falling in love. And well, I think I've already fallen. I'm head over heels with the Masai Mara. I don't think I could be caught. But yes, Eggs, you're very poetic today. Okay, so those Thompson's gazelles are normally just past here. Now, I was chatting with Douglas about the impala here. So, our impala the impala at Djuma are very, very set in their rutting season and their breeding season. Now, due to the nature of the fact that there's so much food here, and it's also one of the reasons why those impala have those really massive horns, is that they're sort of almost on steroids, and the impala will mate and give birth throughout the year. So you can see baby impalas at any time, really. So it's not a set season. Eggsy, where are the Thompson's gazelles? Hi, Justin. Justin's wondering whether we've named the vehicle yet. Justin, we haven't. This isn't our vehicle. We have been kindly lent this vehicle from Angama, and so we haven't named it yet. But the tech vehicle is named Cheetah. Oh, there's a great white egret. You see it? And we haven't. And the other vehicles have been named, but I'm not sure of all their names just yet. Now I'm just going to sit up quickly. I don't know. I mean, of course, because I said the Thompson's gazelles were going to be here. Today is the day that they are not. Let's have a quick look with the binos. They are quite short. Sometimes they disappear into the grass. Oh dear. Where have the Tommies gone? Now I came here particularly to look for Thompson's gazelle and ostrich, both of which are proving to be a little bit scarce. Well, really important to use your binos out here. Now, a lot of the stuff we spot is through binos. Okay. Oh, is that where the Tommies are? There's impala. Okay, well, we're going to go a little bit further on down the road. There's that big herd of buffalo coming up on the right. Now, this particular herd has been here, well, every single day that I've driven down this part of the triangle. The big herd of buff have been in this area, not moving far. So, and you probably found that big herd we saw on the northern side yesterday will also stay in that area. There's no need to move the big distances like the Sabi Sands herds. Here we go. So they start from over here and they just keep going. So I'm going to just drive opposite them. Look at that, isn't that amazing? It must be about 400 or so. And they've been almost completely stationary in this area for a couple of days. Lots of grass. So I'm just going to switch off and give you a lovely vista filled with buffaloes. And we're going to leave you and send you across to Commander Bond, who's with an animal that's bigger than a buffalo but smaller than an elephant.
Every time we're not live, everybody, these hippopotamus go ballistic, and then suddenly they become nervous about being live and they stop fighting with each other, but they have been thrashing each other. And then as soon as you come across here, they do this kind of and that's it. Now let's see if they do it again. They're making a tremendous noise. With their puffing and huffing at each other. I just think this is wonderful. Let's see if they do it again. They both leapt out of the water. There was a crash as their teeth caught against each other. It's definitely going to be worth sitting here, just to see what they do. The first time Biffle's hook has delivered me a decent sighting in months. Hello, Sleep. You're wondering what a group of hippopotamus is called. Sleep, we'd normally call them a pod or a raft, but I've no doubt there are other collective nouns that people use, most of which will not actually have any biological relevance whatsoever. But pod or raft, I've heard a school used once or twice, but pod or raft is what we would call them. You could probably even call them a herd if you wanted to. Dingo, you ask a very good question about the membranes of the eyes and whether they are similar to those of crocodiles. Of course, crocodiles and birds have got something called a nictitating membrane, and that nictitating membrane sort of acts like a lens, sort of a pair of attached goggles, if you like. No, I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure that they don't, that they have got just a standard issue mammal eye. I think they're going to move towards each other again. And you might just feel the increase in tension here as the birds chase each other. There's a number of three-banded plovers being attacked by blacksmith lapwings. But now let's see if these two combatants are going to face off again. That puffing is not just them breathing, it's they're communicating. It's like sort of young boys pushing each other just prior to the actual onset of real conflict. Rebecca, you want to see him fight. Well, Rebecca, sit exactly where you are. Do not move. Do not shut your eyes. You may well see them fight shortly. Come on, guys, don't let us down. It's been so entertaining. You won't believe what they did. And of course, it's impossible once they start fighting to come quickly across here because, well, they don't do it for very long. They only sort of have at each other for a few seconds at a time. Here we go. It feels like it's building again. Tensions are building. And now they're dissipating again. Here we go. Come on, Hippo. Have a go at each other. I'm sure I heard the one on the right say something nasty about the one on the left's mother. Come on. Get on with it. There's no point just staring at each other. You need to sort this out. It's also difficult to know what precipitates the fight, of course. Every so often there's a little sort of grunt. Rebecca, living in a place called The Final Control, is interested to know what the closest relative of the hippopotamus is. I think the closest family resemblance, or not resemblance, but a sort of genetic relative would be the family of the Suidae, and those are the pigs. But otherwise, they do not have very close relatives out here. They are not very closely related to other aquatic mammals. And I think the elephants are not that distantly related. Am I correct there? No, they are. I mean, they are pretty distantly related, but other than the pigs, I'm not exactly sure how far back the common ancestor goes. Geeky, you're wondering how the winner is decided between them. Well, normally what happens, that's that territorial swishing of the tail there. Geeky, what will happen is that the loser will just move away. That's how it's decided. When one of them gives up, the winner declares himself the victor by doing a lap of honor around the dam wall and going, woo-wee! He doesn't really do that. But the loser will just back off. This is very frustrating. I mean, they put on such a show. Well, for 3.5 seconds, but it was very impressive 3.5 seconds. Normally, of course, this is all we see of these hippo. And I don't think they're the biggest hippo I've ever seen, so I'm sure they're young bulls, just squaring off. Perhaps they had a conflict over a lady last night at the bush grass bar. The puffing is getting much more intense. I think the one on the left is the aggressor, and I think he's slightly bigger than the one on the right here. Ooh, here we go. Oh, looked like there was almost going to be a yawn. You see the one on the right is moving off slightly now. I'm not sure he's going to be allowed to move all the way off. And I will tell you also that the heat has built substantially. Now, Pritam, you're wondering why they're staying in the water. Pritam, the reason they're staying in the water is that's what hippos do. They feel safer there. It's hot outside now. There's exposed sun everywhere. And so that means that they must try and stay in the water. Because they get very hot indeed, much too hot. Anyway, I don't know what else is going to happen here. I'm just going to quickly get my binoculars. Craig, very end of Ghana. But it is in fact a log, it is not Tingana, which is disappointing. Let's give them another 2 minutes, and then we'll move on from here. See if they can be bothered to show us how fighty they are. Okay, we're not going to wait here for 2 minutes. Let's head straight across to the Mara, where Brent has got some topi and some magnificent, I'm hoping.
Well, we've found the Thompson's gazelles. As you can see, some of them are hiding in the grass, and they are quite short, so sometimes they're a bit difficult to see. And you can see there's also some topi around. And now, Thompson's gazelle is a strange name for an antelope. Thompson? Who's Thompson? Why are you called Thompson's gazelles? So they are named after an explorer who explored, or one of the first British explorers to explore this part of the world. His name was Joseph Thompson, and he was quite a unique explorer for that time period, because he didn't actually end up in fights with the local people or with his porters, which was very unique. And his motto while exploring Africa was that he who goes gently goes safely, and he who goes safely goes far, which I think was probably a lot beyond his years. So that's where the Thompson's gazelle gets their name from. Joseph Thompson, he was a Scottish geologist and explorer. So he who goes gently goes safely, he who goes safely goes far. I think that is an absolutely splendid quote. So that's where the Thompson's gazelle get their name from. So often referred to as Tommies out here. And of course, the favorite food of an animal we're yet to see so far in the Mara, the cheetah. But hopefully we will spot a cheetah on these vast open plains shortly. Oh, pigs is under. Warthogs. And a massive herd of topi. So let's go a little bit closer. Now, I want to get close to a topi so I can show you the glands on its face. Now, unfortunately, the Tommies are just a little bit too far. So I know a lot of you are asking about cheetah. So generally, they're further towards the south, towards the Tanzanian border. And at the moment, we haven't managed to get that far yet. We're still exploring this area around the Mara River. But we will definitely get down there soon. So here we go. Now, all the topi. Hi, topes. Now, once we get close, you can actually see, specifically on the males, that preorbital gland that they'll use to mark. Hello, big boy. How's that, Zander? Bit more? So you can see the size difference as well. And you see the guy with the mud on his horns? Over there. Yeah, straight opposite me. Yeah, so there's a male, and you can see quite a lot of antelope species will sort of rub their horns in mud to try and make themselves look more impressive to the ladies and keep the boys at bay. But you can see those glands, and you see those little holes below his eye. So there we go, and they use those to scent mark. Now, we've spoken quite a bit about bot flies, and you'll notice topi are often sort of nodding their heads and snorting. And that is because they are very, very often sort of have botfly larvae in their nasal cavities, feeding off the mucus. So they'll often see them sort of bobbing their heads and snorting. And I don't think we put it. No, the warthog yesterday it escaped us, didn't it, Zander? Well, we've got some warthog that are a bit more out in the open. Oh, Monique saying those pointy horns look sharp. Indeed, they are. And is there a rutting season for topi?
Yeah, there is a rutting season.
When is it? Sorry.
That's November.
November. So Monique, we'll be seeing the male topi use those sharp horns in November when they rut, and they give birth later in the year. But so you can see that actually the youngsters are already quite big. But there's some pigs. Hello, water pigs. Now there are an obscene amount of warthogs in this part of the world. So Douglas was telling me about an area we drove past yesterday called the Graveyard. Now I assumed it must be because the lions kill lots of things, but it's not actually. It's a car graveyard because there are lots of warthog holes there, and many a car has come to an end there. Now, birders, are you ready? Zander, are you ready? Ostriches! Big flock of ostriches in the distance. You see, you got them, yeah. So that's the two things we came to this particular spot to look for were ostriches and Thompson's gazelles. So we've managed to get both. How exciting. What are you snorting at? Just snorting at each other. Well, we've got an interesting handle coming through. A tormented zombie eye was wondering whether we had ostriches. Well, there's your answer. Indeed we do. Oh, it is just too beautiful. Beautiful here. It's just an incredible amount of species and number of animals that we're seeing at the moment. Nancy's wondering where would ostriches go to roost at night. Nancy, well, what they do is they'll just settle down in an open area and they'll lie down on the ground. Of course, they're unable to climb trees. They're designed for high speed. They can do over 60 kilometers an hour. And a favorite food of cheetahs in southern Africa. Do the cheetah hunt ostrich here?
Yeah.
Yes. So again, another favorite food of the cheetahs here, the ostrich. Now, hopefully at some point we will see them a bit closer to the road. But we're going to now start heading back towards the north. And just, there we go. And who knows what we're going to find on the way. Oh, I've got a feeling we're going to see a lion. Now, we've got a long way to go to the north, so we're going to start heading there. And while we do that, let's go across to Taylor, who seems like she's done walking for the morning.
I'm exhausted, Brent. We've marched. I'm not just physically exhausted, but I'm mentally exhausted. I'm trying to put the puzzle of all of this morning's antics. But I have something to tell you. Poor Sensor checked himself for, of course, ticks, and that's one thing that you must remember to do after a bushwalk when you're coming on safari. And here is the little one that he pulled off of his body. Well, luckily it hadn't bitten just yet. It was just crawling still. That's good. But it is a small one, and it doesn't look like it's a bont tick in comparison to this one. I think it is a red-brown tick, and they're not too good either. You don't want to get bitten by either one of these, though I think the bont tick, the one on the left, is the harder one to pull off. If you've ever had the unfortunate opportunity of having to pull a tick off of your body, you'll know that it is not very pleasant. I'd much rather prefer to pull the little pepper ticks off. But I want to just draw your attention away. I'm going to take these 2 ticks so that James can look at them a little bit later. Look here. Hello, Auntie. What are you doing, Auntie? I don't know what this ant is doing, but I've disturbed it now. It looks like a polyrhynchus. It was sitting on its abdomen. Well, not really sitting, but it was just so funny the way it positioned itself, as if it was waiting for someone. Now, I'm glad it is moving out of the road and back towards the grassy areas, because now it's not going to get squashed by a car, though. Ants are pretty good. They're really good at, of course, moving away from things, but off it goes back to where it's gone. And don't worry, I'm not James. I'm not going to eat you, because James loves to eat the polyrhynchus ants, doesn't he? Because they taste like, of course, lemon drops. Now, the other thing that I have for you in my hands, and that I just can't get enough of the smell, it is so beautiful. It's one of the last of the flowering white-tipped hemizygias. It doesn't have much white on it at the moment, which is the nice part that actually smells. But you can see there are just a couple coming out now, and it is just absolutely beautiful. And it's one of the few flowers that we're still seeing at the moment. Everything that blooms is coming to an end now. The grass is getting yellow. The flowers are all disappearing. But a last bit of happiness for this morning's safari, don't you think? Isn't that quite lovely? And it's so nice. It smells like a combination sort of between a jasmine and something else that's quite florally, but very pleasant on the nose. Very, very nice. I need to go and collect a whole lot of these, and then I think keep them in my room. Right, now I need to stand up because I'm going to be covered in sand. Do the shake. Oh, well, we'll leave it. I don't mind if I'm too dirty. I need to pick my tick up. You're not going anywhere. It's just starting to wake up. You as well can go into my hand. Well, we'll say goodbye to our dear friends, the ticks, and hopefully they'll make an appearance a little bit later. But from us at the Bushwalk team, we'll see you this afternoon, and let's go across to Byron.
Thank you, Taylor. And we've just got a herd of wildebeest out in the open, enjoying the shade, although a few of them are lying down to the right. You might see them. They were lying down. Is there? No, there is one lying down. 2 of them starting to stand up and move now. Just enjoying the shade. It is starting to warm up quite a bit. I can definitely feel it. Sun is out. It's great. Now, we unfortunately didn't have any luck with our leopard search this morning, even though we had so much activity last night. But we'll definitely try again this afternoon. We might have luck finding both Hosana and Shungile by the sounds of things. I don't want to guarantee anything, but it sounds like they had tracks of both of them, so that is exciting news. We'll have a look, and I do think the big male Tingana is still around somewhere, and possibly stick his head out a little bit later. And very exciting stuff with Brent up in the Mara, a lot going on there, and seeing all these wonderful new animals that a lot of you haven't seen before. I haven't even seen, like the Topi and the Thompson's gazelle. Never seen them up close and personal. So it really is wonderful to have that additional feed at the moment, and something new for all of you to enjoy. Oh, I think we'll leave those wildebeest and let them enjoy the day. They'll move off feeding. So a big thank you to James and Taylor and Craig and Senzo on camera, and obviously Herbie and the ladies in the final control. And a big thank you to all of you again for your questions and comments, and for the updates again from the dam cam from last night. All of that helps. So thank you very much to all of you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and whatever you're doing, or wonderful evening if your day is starting to end. We'll see you on our sunset safari this afternoon. Goodbye everyone. Thank you very much.